Forbidden Desert was designed by Matt Leacock and published by Gamewright Games, and it's a co-op game where the players are adventurers, desperately trying to scavenge through a desert, trying to excavate an ancient city to try and find the 4 pieces to put together an ancient ship rumored to be powered by the sun and get back into the sky before a storm that is brewing up in the desert becomes too intense that it blows everyone away, or a player succumbs to thirst from the massively hot sun, or before the players end up getting buried in the sand by the storm. Now, for those of you who don't know, or if you're curious to know, this is actually a sequel to a co-op game that I reviewed over 2 years ago called Forbidden Island. If you saw my review for Forbidden Island, then you know that I do enjoy that game, and I am happy that I got to play Forbidden Desert. However, just like any other form of media, whenever they make a sequel to something, more often than not, it tends to be inferior to the original. Is that the case here? Let's find out. I find the theme of the game to actually be fairly strong, and the mechanisms that go with the theme actually work well together as you move the tiles around to represent the storm moving around the board. As well as the storm intensifying, you gotta draw more cards, which means you're gonna move more tiles around the board, which makes sense. I find the theme of the game to actually be pretty strong. The tiles make up the entire board, and as the game goes by, you move the tiles around as the storm moves around the desert. As well as the storm intensifies, you actually have to draw more cards, which means more tiles are going to move around. And as the tiles move around, you gotta add sand, which kind of represents the sand getting piled onto the land as the storm moves. And the sun works well also. When time goes by, you're inevitably going to draw those cards that have the sun beating down on you, and unless you're in a tunnel or covered by a shield, you're gonna lose water from yourself. That's basically your health. That's what keeps you alive. And if you're not protected, you lose that. It actually helps to put you there in that world. You are, at times, you feel like have the pressure on you. You're like, where are those pieces? Where is that launch pad? Well, the sand is running out. It just helps to keep the tension there. So thematically, it works well. The components, absolutely superb. The tiles themselves are beautifully illustrated. The pieces are nice thick wooden pawns. They're not like little plastic things. The tiles themselves for the little sands, they work well. They're a little thin, so there's a chance you could bend them if you're not careful, but you're not going to be handling them really too much. I mean, you're just going to be placing them on the board and whatnot. You're not going to be really handling them yourselves. The parts for the ship are absolutely superb. The ship itself, I think it's a little bit overkill because it does literally nothing in the game. The point of the game is to gather the pieces to put on the ship, and then once you're done, you just put all the bits in the ship, which look really cool, I'll give you that. But then what are you supposed to do with this thing? You just go, whee! Alright, help me put it away. So the thought of having an actual ship in the game was a bit of an odd choice for me, considering it literally does nothing. But the parts for the ship, like I said, are superb. They look amazing. They go in the ship very easily, although you're going to want to be careful with the propeller because it can break pretty easily if you try to put it in wrong. The text on the cards are all very easy to read. The symbology on the storm cards, very easy to understand. It also looks really nice as well. They did a great job on the backs of them and on the fronts as well. The storm tracker works well. Also, the text is very easy to understand, except maybe down here, but you're not going to be down there that long with the as well as the setup for the players, the various players' setups, very easy to tell apart. Overall, just phenomenal component quality. A little overkill, but still phenomenal. The game is very easy to understand. On your turn, you have 4 actions that you can take. You can take any type of action. There's 3 different types. There's move upon, there's flip a tile, there's clear sand. That's the only actions you have. There are special abilities that each of the players have that sometimes require you to do an action to use them, sometimes not. I also like the idea of having each player having their own special ability that kind of sets them apart from the group. It gives them a little bit of their own identity and makes them unique. And it's not just another player in the game. It's a special role. I do think the abilities are balanced pretty well. It is definitely possible to beat the game regardless of what setup of abilities that you have. And when it's time for the game to take its turn to try and hinder you, the feedback loop is incredibly easy. You just flip a card and you do whatever it says. You flip a card and it shows movement of the tiles, you just move the amount of tiles it shows that direction. Or if it shows a storm picks up, you just move the tracker up. If it says sun beats down, you just basically move your canteen down a level if you're not protected. It's just very easy feedback loop, very simple actions, very easy to pick up. And I actually could see this as a gateway game if you're trying to get somebody into the hobby. This is a very easy one to teach. In regards to the gameplay, there's no way for me to beat around the bush here. It is superb. Right from the get-go, from the very first turn that you take of the game, just discussions are just being encouraged. This game literally encourages teamwork. It encourages you to talk to your teammates and try to figure out what the best way to go about every turn there is. Is this a good time to use my ability? Should I flip this tile? Should I go over here? Is this a good time to use my gear? It's that levels of discussion that really helps promote teamwork. The game is also not that long either. The box says 45 minutes, and I think that once you know what you are doing, once you know how to actually play the game efficiently, 45 minutes is going to happen more often than not, maybe even less. The only negative thing I really have to say about it is the fact that I don't think it scales the greatest. It says 2 to 5 players on the box. I think it works best with 3 and 4. 5's alright because you can get a lot done, but you're also hitting those feedback loops a lot more often, a lot more chances to mess you over. And with 2 players, I don't think it works well as a 2-player game because, well, yes, you don't hit the feedback loops as often, but you're also not getting as much of a chance to get stuff done. In terms of replay value, there is definitely some here, regardless of how many players you play with. Not all the abilities are going to be used. There's always going to be at least one left out, which means there's going to be some variation of who plays who with every single game. The tiles, when you set the game up, are going to be different every single time. Every single time you play this game, more often than not, you are going to start on a different space than you did before. The sequences of the tiles and the cards are going to come up in a completely different sequence, regardless of how you set it. The clues for the pieces to the ship are going to be different every game. The landing pad's going to be different. The encounters with the storing cards are going to be different every single time. So overall, just lots of replay value. Overall, this is a fantastic cooperative game and a fantastic sequel to an already good one. In fact, I actually enjoyed this one better than Forbidden Island, and it's actually not that more complex than the other. If you want a entry-level cooperative game, I still think this is a good one to find. This is a game that I have enjoyed every single time I've played it. Everybody I have played this game with has very much enjoyed it. If you are looking for an entry-level co-op game or a game that's a little bit lighter to play in between a bunch of big games on like a game day or something, or you're just looking for a cooperative game to add to your collection, definitely would recommend Forbidden Desert. I'm going to give Forbidden Desert a 9 out of 10. So with all that said, I want to know, what are your thoughts on Forbidden Desert? Do you like the game? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just okay? Let me know in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to learn my thoughts on other games, or if you want to learn how to play more or unbox more, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, reviews, and unboxings. Thank you all as always so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.